Comrades, today we are meeting here with a full determination to devote ourselves to the sacred revolutionary struggle for Korea's independence. We have had a wide range of study and discussion about the path to Korea's independence and the method of our struggle. In the course of this, we have found the way we should take and what method we should employ in the struggle. To free the masses of people from colonial slavery, as we have pledged solemnly to the revolution, we must fight Japanese imperialism through to the end. Imperialism invades and plunders other countries by resorting to every means possible. Today, imperialism tramples upon the rights to self-determination of colonized nations and oppresses and exploits them brutally. Japanese imperialism is enforcing a most barbarous colonial rule on Korea. Since their occupation of our beautiful lands, the rapacious Japanese imperialists have trampled on our people's rights to self-determination and have kept our 20 million fellow countrymen under an unprecedented colonial suppression, subjecting them to atrocious plunder. They have set up their ruling machinery, gendarmerie, and police institutions and are consolidating them. The number of police and gendarme stations in Korea amounts to several thousands. They are using this huge machinery of oppression to obliterate our people's elementary rights to freedom of speech, the press, assembly, association, and demonstration. They were arresting, imprisoning, and slaughtering innocent people. Recently, they have put on trial a great number of students and young people involved in the June 10th independence movement to punish them severely. They put down the Korean people brutally not only in our homeland but also abroad. The large-scale mopping up atrocities in Jeondao in 1920 and the massacres of Koreans at the time of the Kanto earthquake in 1923 are two examples. Consequently, not a single day passes without Koreans' blood being spilt wherever the Japanese imperialists set their dirty feet. Economically, they also subject our people to harsh exploitation. They drive our workers like beasts of burden at factories and mines, paying them starvation wages. They are plundering Korea of its rich mineral resources and wealth. They have seized hundreds of thousands of hectares of fertile land in the plains of the three southern provinces and other parts of Korea, and are taking away a colossal amount of grain. As a result, our people are poorly clothed, reduced to living on grass roots and tree bark, and many are leaving for foreign lands to earn a living. Korea is now reduced to an object of unlimited exploitation and plunder by the Japanese imperialists, and has become a dark land of unprecedented famine and poverty. Due to its occupation by the Japanese imperialist aggressors, our Korea, which is celebrated for its time-honored history of 5,000 years, has lost its light, and our people are suffering greatly. The situation shows clearly how miserable a nation is, which has been deprived of its sovereignty by the imperialists. Hundreds of millions of people, of dozens of colonies in the world colonies of the United States, Britain, France, and the other imperialist powers, are also groaning in the same misery as our people are in. This fact eloquently proves that the Japanese and all other imperialists on earth are the root cause of all the sufferings and hardships endured by the working masses and oppressed people of colonies as well as their sworn enemies. Imperialism is a vampire, living on the sweat and blood of colonized people. The imperialists get fat on the colonies and regard them as their lifeline. Irreconcilable contradictions exist between the imperialists and the people in the colonies, and these contradictions are sharpening with the passage of time. Because these contradictions are antagonistic, they cannot be settled by compromise, and will only be solved when imperialism is overthrown. Unless imperialism is destroyed, it is impossible to talk of a free development of nations and the happiness of the oppressed working masses. We must destroy the Japanese imperialist marauders and achieve Korea's independence so as to ensure freedom and happiness for our people. Furthermore, we must accomplish the sacred cause of destroying imperialism throughout the globe so that the oppressed working masses of the whole world can lead a free and happy life. How, then, must we fight imperialism? We must not fight it the way the nationalist campaigners do now. In the first place, their principle and policy have serious weaknesses. As we saw in the Huadian area, they preach the restoration of national sovereignty. Of course, their assertion has a positive aspect in that they are opposed to the foreign aggressors. But their aim is, in essence, to restore monarchism, which represents the interests of the small number of people who make up the property class. The nationalists are trying to put into effect their unconvincing slogan by the efforts of the small force of the upper crust, not by a mass movement involving broad sections of the population. Therefore, their slogan, "Restoration of National Sovereignty," and their petty methods are ineffective for organizing and mobilizing the working masses, and accordingly unsuccessful in the struggle against imperialism. On account of their worship of the great powers, the nationalist campaigners try to achieve independence with the help of large countries, not by their own force. During the March 1st movement, the nationalists, who pose as the representatives of the nation, were fascinated by the deceptive doctrine of national self-determination advocated by U.S. President Woodrow Wilson, and preached non-violence to the masses, making a foolish attempt to gain independence through petition and reliance on foreign forces, but to no avail. In spite of this bitter lesson, the nationalists are still seeking help from major countries, instead of trying to achieve independence by arousing our people. Such being the case, the nationalist campaigners' principles, policy, and attitude have nothing in common with the interests of the proletariat, who occupies the overwhelming majority of the population. The nationalist campaigners are disunited and given to factional strife. As our experience in Huadian and other southern parts of Manchuria shows, they all talk about the anti-Japanese struggle and national independence, but they are not united. They act in separate groups and even slander each other. They are also running about here and there trying to raise war funds and put a wider area of Korean settlements under their influence. If we do as the nationalist campaigners do now, we can neither defeat the Japanese imperialists nor win national independence. Historical experience and the lesson of anti-Japanese struggle teach us that we must take a new road of struggle, which is totally different from the path of the nationalist campaigners. We must follow the Marxist road, which leads to the liberation of the oppressed working masses from the yoke of Japanese imperialist rule, and provides them with genuine freedom and happiness. Marxism is the most progressive idea and the most scientific revolutionary theory in human history. Its truth and might were already proved clearly through the October Socialist Revolution in Russia. Under the Marxist banner, the Russian proletariat fought and overthrew Tsarist monarchy and established, for the first time in the world, a social system under which the oppressed people live a happy life. We must advance under the unfurled banner of Marxism, whose truth and might have been confirmed through practice. However, we cannot fight in the same way as some so-called advocates of Marxism do at present. Some people who profess to be engaged in the communist movement attempt to draw people to their side, each posing as an elite and slandering the others. The behavior of Kim Chan on his visit to Hwasong Wisuk School testifies to this fact. Such actions divide the anti-Japanese forces. In the view of the historical lesson of the anti-Japanese struggle, we must destroy Japanese imperialism and achieve the genuine independence of Korea on our own, through a mass movement, not through the efforts of some persons of the upper crust, and by relying on the strength of our own people, not on any foreign forces. If our resourceful and courageous Korean people, who are proud of their long history and brilliant culture, fight with united efforts, they can defeat the piratical Japanese imperialists and win Korea's independence. If we are to encourage them to fight with single-hearted unity, we must equip the broad masses with anti-Japanese patriotic ideas and the progressive idea of Marxism, so as to awaken them to national and class consciousness. To do this, we must employ various forms and methods which suit their level of preparedness and characteristics. We must take the enemy's vigilance into consideration. Meanwhile, we must build various types of legal and illegal revolutionary organizations, and gradually rally the masses of all strata around them. In order for us to destroy Japanese imperialism and achieve Korea's independence by organizing the masses under the banner of Marxism, we must first form a revolutionary organization of our young communists. It is advisable to name this organization the Down-with-Imperialism Union, in accordance with its mission, and abbreviate it to DIU. Because the DIU assumes, in name and in fact, the mission to overthrow imperialism, its program must set the immediate task of destroying Japanese imperialism, the sworn enemy of the Korean people, and achieving Korea's liberation and independence, and the ultimate aim of constructing socialism and communism in Korea, further overthrowing all forms of imperialism and building communism throughout the world. In order to carry out the program of the DIU to the letter, we must, before anything else, strengthen the DIU organizationally and ideologically. The members of the DIU must study Marxism deeply, and on that basis, unite with one mind and will. However great a program a revolutionary organization advances, the organization cannot fulfill its mission unless it unites its members in ideology and purpose. In our organization, therefore, we must guard against factional actions and tendencies evidenced amongst the nationalist campaigners and some of the self-styled communist campaigners. If they appear, we must overcome them thoroughly. Meanwhile, we must expand and strengthen the DIU with a new membership of reliable young people who are fully determined to devote their bodies and minds to the struggle against Japanese imperialism. The DIU members must strictly observe the rules of organizational life in their activities. They must participate in organizational life willingly, establish a revolutionary atmosphere of absolutely obeying the instructions from their organization, and keep the secrets of the organization, even if it means sacrificing their lives. Comrades, the formation of the DIU is a declaration of a decisive battle to destroy Japanese imperialism and of confrontation with imperialism worldwide. We, the rising young vanguard, must take the lead in this valiant struggle. This is a noble mission devolving upon us, who must shoulder the destiny of the country and nation. We, the young communists of a new generation, bearing in mind our great responsibility to save the country and nation, must fulfill our duty with credit and give correct leadership to the anti-Japanese mass struggle by displaying our wisdom, courage, and unexcelled devotion to the full. Our road of struggle will not be smooth. Many obstacles and difficulties, seemingly impossible to break through, will stand in our way. We, ardent young men and women of the DIU, must overcome all these obstacles and trials with a strong will and revolutionary fighting spirits, overthrow piratical Japanese imperialism, and achieve Korea's independence. Comrades, let us fight courageously to bury imperialism worldwide.